Immediately after a collision, there's some things that people have to keep in mind that do not have a lawyer at that point. They're really open for the insurance company's scrutiny to take control of the case. Very critical that people understand that there are some things that they should do and do not do at that stage. For example, their initial contact with the insurance company should not involve a recorded statement, especially if there's a police report. If there's a police report of that, we need to take a look at that. You need to take a look at it. And whether you agree with that collision report or not, those are things that could be expressed to the insurance company, but not through a recorded statement. Recorded statements are a defense mechanism designed to be able to take control of the evidence right up front. Evidence can change, facts can change. So if a person gives a statement to an insurance company, it's being recorded under penalty of perjury, under a sworn statement, as recorded statements are. At that point a person needs to understand that if you tell an insurance company that you're not hurt, what the insurance companies can do is use that against you later on. In Johnny's situation, she's not immediately hurt. She seems to be fine. She may talk to the insurance company and say, look, I've got a few aches and a few pains. Are you injured? Maybe her understanding of what injury is going to be limited. There's no broken bones, no cuts, no bruising, something of that nature. So I'm a little sore. Being a little sore is an injury. Something that may manifest itself later on over the next few days or possibly the next few weeks and get measurably worse as time goes on, is something that the insurance company is not looking forward to hear. So they want to hear right up front, and that's why they're designed to get the recorded statement as quick as they can after the set of facts, because they know that things will change to cost them more money later on.
As always, great to have everyone here with us for Tulsa Law Talk. I'm your host, Stevie Fernandez. Lloyd Benedict joins us once again. He's the attorney with Benedict Law Office, not firm, right?
That's correct, yeah, office. We established that.
Established that. So,
base, not Voz.
Now, Lloyd here is a local attorney in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's been doing this work for 30 years, and he's solved thousands of cases throughout his career. And we want to say up front that many of the stuff that we're going to talk about, the cases here, aren't anything that's happened. Probably wouldn't even know these people if you saw them on the street, so we're not going to let any of the secrets out, right?
Absolutely. Again, to protect attorney-client privileges, we're not discussing open cases, and obviously we're not really discussing anything that's going to give away any identification to a case anyways.
Now, you can't go down the street on your way to work or just going to the mall anywhere. You're going to run into a car accident, and we're going to continue to talk about that because it is so prevalent and it happens. And I haven't had a car accident in probably 20-something years, and the other day somebody ran in the back of me, and I've avoided it. So what are some of the do's and don'ts to be prepared for when that happens? Because it's been a long time.
You know, and there's really, you can say these things and I can try to emphasize them as much, but I'll be honest with you, wasn't all that long ago. This was probably about 3 or 4 years. My son and I were going off to the lake house, and we were sitting at the stop sign, and I was at that time driving a Hummer, and all of a sudden we were ended by a vehicle, had to be going 30 miles an hour. Threw us back in the seats. My son actually developed some immediate headache from the deal. I was kind of lucky. Maybe I was just seated properly, didn't sustain any injuries. Got out, took a look at the vehicle that hit us, and it was a van, and it was crushed. I mean, it was, you can clearly tell it was, you know, a high impact speed. Then I looked at the back of my Hummer, and there was a paint flake on the little tow hook on the back, and I flicked that off with my fingernail, and you couldn't even tell my vehicle was damaged. Right. Which, kind of as a long story short, impact versus injury, you can't just say, well, that really wasn't a high velocity accident, because you have to look at the other vehicle as well. But that being the case, and answer your question, I'm a trained, experienced lawyer on this deal, and I was doing a little bit difficult to find in my mind some of the right things to do, like, oh, okay, wow, we just got hit, and I was just in a stupor at that stage and just kind of dumb-rummied, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, I need to call the police. I need to, it was raining that day, and that was part of the accident. Well, you know, if I'd been thinking clearly, I know that Operation Slick Street comes into play on rain days, and the police don't even respond like that unless there's a severe injury of some sort. So, okay, now what? Now I've got to, you know, okay, am I hurt? My son okay? Do we need immediate medical attention? So that's one of the things you need to look at first. What's the parties? Are they injured? Take a look, question people, find out if everyone's okay. Everyone in your vehicle, you know, at that point, fault doesn't mean anything. Right. At that point, first aid, immediate medical care. Once you realize who needs medical care or if you don't need medical care, then you get into the information stage. You're not thinking clearly. I wasn't either when I was rear-ended, but license information, insurance information. Now we'll need to take pictures of the damage to the vehicle, understand where it happened at. In this case here, the police weren't going to respond. I couldn't get a police report out there, so I had to kind of build my own case. As soon as I snapped into it, which was a minute or two, then I'm on Johnny on the spot. I've got all the information being written down. I'm taking a photograph with my cell phone of her driver's license, of her insurance, and I'm capturing all that information. In reality, it's always best to get the police to come out and do an investigation. It's really just good to have that report. Without that, you're going to need a little bit more information later on when you deal with the insurance companies. At that point there, nobody needed a tow truck. We were able to drive her vehicle barely drove away. It was kind of steaming. It probably should have been a tow truck, but my Hummer had no problem at all. Drove off on that. I did the next day take my son to a physician to have him checked out, a chiropractor that did an examination and determined that he did actually sustain a neck injury. We handled that as far as like any other insurance claim. But at that stage, we got into contacting the insurance companies. What do we do? How do we handle that? Well, you don't want to give somebody else's insurance too much information because they're going to use that against you. And they do that in the form of a recorded statement. In the criminal world, person gets arrested and you hear what? You have the right to remain silent. Right. Well, you're a defendant in there and you don't want them to use information against you. So you wouldn't think in the civil side of things that any information you give an insurance company is going to hurt you because you're really the prosecutor there. Yeah. They're the defendant, right? Right. They try and turn it around on you. They want to be able to get you to say something that they can turn around in the form of a recorded statement. And for example, what if you say, well, I'm like in my case, I wasn't injured, but what if I gave a recorded statement and said, no, I'm really not injured, I'm fine, you know, I'm okay, I'm not going to go to a doctor or anything like that, I just need to get my car fixed or whatever. Only to have 2 days, 3 days later, if I develop symptoms and all of a sudden I go see a doctor, they're going to say, I have a statement where you said that you understand that your injuries are true and accurate, that you were not hurt. Why did you change your mind? Did you think you'd get some money out of us? Is that what's going on here? Right, yeah. Because you don't even have any damage to your vehicle. How can you be hurt with no damage to your vehicle? Which is real common. So you lay out this foundation if you fall to that trap, and so you don't want to give a recorded statement. Then they might put a little piece of paper in front of your face and say, this is a medical authorization. If you're injured, I can get your medical bills and records from your doctor. I'll do that. Well, if you look at the fine print, before you sign that and give it to the insurance company, you'll notice that that's an open authorization. They can go back to the day you're born and obtain every medical record related or unrelated to the collision. Gosh. So if you're a female, they might be able to obtain your OB/GYN records. Not even relevant, but they can get them. You've given authorization, and people don't realize that that's just the way the insurance company can control the case. Control the evidence, control the outcome. So that's what their cookie cutter 101 method of being able to handle a claim is to see what there is out there, to go and find stuff that they can use against you.
So if you had an accident 10 years ago that involved a neck injury and now you have one again that involves a neck injury, they can say it's a pre-existing.
Yeah, they can raise that argument and they can have some expert doctor or registered nurse or some medical provider say, look, this is clearly something that you've had before. We're not going to really pay anything, or we're going to pay less because it's a pre-existing condition. But what if you hadn't had any problems for the last 10 years? Like in your case, if you got injured, did you have any previous problems to this accident? Let's say it fully resolved itself. Would you say that's a pre-existing condition? No.
Yeah, I had back surgery 30 years ago.
Right.
Has it been 30 years? Yeah, almost 28. And so I always think about that anytime I'm in some kind of like this last accident, I get a little, feel a little tension or stress from my back, and it'll go on for a few days. Maybe I got to go see a chiropractor or something to help me get it straightened out. But I don't think about, should I have reported that?
I wouldn't, well, absolutely, to go ahead and bring that into the equation with the insurance company, say, hey, look, I'm having some back issues, I need to be seen by a doctor. And they're going to get into a recorded statement and say, well, have you had problems with that back before? And if you say, obviously you'd have to say yes if they ask that question.
Right.
So the best thing to do is not let them ask that question. Your doctors are going to feel it's relevant in the medical record. So if you go see a doctor and you don't give them medical authorization, and eventually you're going to give them those records, it's going to show that whether that pre-existing condition is a pre-existing condition or was just an event and now it's a re-injury. For example, if I broke my arm and it heals,
right?
All right, you know what they say, a broken arm healed is better than it was before, right? And so what happens if that breaks again? Does the insurance company say, you broke that arm before? That's a pre-existing condition. Well, actually, no, it healed fine. It's just a re-injury to the same area. So is it a re-injury, or is it actually an aggravation to a pre-existing condition? Or in your situation, were you predisposed? Didn't take as much. Let's say that you got hit at 15 miles an hour, and they say, how can you be hurt from that? Well, because I have a previous back issue that's made me susceptible to be injured on that. And that might be part of the equation that as a lawyer I need to bring in and take a look at. So the medical authorization, don't give it to the insurance company. You want to be able to control that evidence, not them.
Hey everyone, Sarah Benedict here with another question for you. What percentage of drivers never hit their brakes during a car accident? Do you think it's A, 12%, B, 27%, or do you think it's C, 40%? We'll have the answer right after this.
Over 6,337 people are injured in a car crash each day in the United States, and each crash can affect your day-to-day lives from having nothing to drive to severe bodily injury. At Benedict Law Office, we are here to help you through this tragedy and get your life back on track. For over 25 years, Lloyd Benedict has been successfully handling and resolving personal injury cases. If you can't come to the office, we'll meet you, whether it's at your home, office, or by phone. Look us up on our website or call at 918-477-7000. A car crash changes everything instantly. How you get to work, heal from the injuries, to repairing your car. Not to mention how this affects your family members' lives. The Lawyer Lloyd Show is to educate people about what you need to know to best deal with an accident. It's more than just calling the insurance company. It's about understanding the importance of having an attorney to guide you through this crash, but more importantly, knowing that you are not going through this accident alone. Seen every Monday at noon and on Wednesdays 11:30 at night, right here on KWHB TV 47.
Alright guys, earlier I had asked what percentage of drivers never hit their brakes during a car accident, and surprisingly the answer is C. 40% of drivers never get a chance to hit their brakes before an accident.
All right, well, welcome back to Tulsa Law Talk. Attorney Lloyd Benedict here with us today. Earlier you talked about with your accident, and for a moment, you making sure everybody's safe and no one else was hurt. In my particular accident, and I did the same, got out, talked to the woman, talked to the other person with me, make sure everybody was good and okay, and then the woman starts crying, well, this isn't my car, it's not, I don't know if I'm covered, and all, and I'm going, well, lady, you ran into me. Usually 99% of those is the person that is behind you, right?
There's a presumption of negligence, absolutely right.
And then a guy has a cell phone and he says, oh, I caught it all, that he just stopped too soon. And I thought, how do you stop too soon? I was at a red light, and I was trying to avoid the car ahead of me, so I had to stop. And then when I first looked at the insurance, I took the picture, as you said, and then as we were waiting for the police to arrive, I look and I notice, well, wait a minute, this is expired, and I had to tell them to get, and they did have absolutely insurance, but those are little things I guess you got to keep keep in mind as you're doing this.
Yeah,
Right?
and the list goes on and on of all the different horrors that can happen, all the little different nuances of things that develop on that. But yeah, you're right. And the witness you talked about that said that you stopped too soon. Is there really such a thing that you stop too soon at a red light? But it's little things like that that the insurance companies like to get their hands on and make that a story. You know, they just get into it and say, well, there might be actually some negligence on your part for stopping too soon. You know, Jake braked or whatever the case may be. You may have done something negligent, which they call that comparative negligence. And so in the insurance world it's all about trying to diminish the value of the case. So they can say that, you know, you're actually 5% negligent, so we're only going to pay 95% of your damages.
Ah, okay. So now, we have the accident. We get that information. We take the pictures of the car, you know, and we feel like we got a good case. So should we call an attorney first, or do we call their insurance and give them all that information? Because it kind of sounds like you need to really think about what you're going to say before it's said. Because even if you said, oh, I looked down for a second, or my cell phone went off, or anything could cause you...
Ideally, it's in all these do's and don'ts that I'm talking about right now. Some of the early do's is to contact legal representation and understand what's involved here. To understand the whole legal process that you're dealing with, the legal matter that you're now involved in. Seconds before this crash, life was just normal. Seconds after the crash, you have a legal matter. Again, no less than a bankruptcy, a divorce, a criminal matter. You have a legal matter. There's laws involved. There's more laws involved about civil matters than any other areas of law there is. It's just books and books and cases and cases and statutes, and they all may apply to your case. Not all, but there's going to be a certain degree of this stuff that applies to your case. A lawyer needs to take a look at and apply that to it, in addition to the facts. This is all fact-based oriented. We got to start somewhere. And so those do's that we talked about, those lay out the foundation of the facts. Calling a lawyer early on the process, and best before you even get a hold of the insurance company. At that stage, you're really learning as to what you should do and not do, and how your facts are either going to hurt you or help you in that. And need be, you need to retain counsel at that stage and let them take that matter over. We don't have to deal with it, and that you have some type of successful outcome on it.
So do you call the police right away to get them out there? Or what about with my story where the girl, I was out of my car, then they're ready to try to tell me we'll pay for damages and let's not get anybody involved?
Yeah. When I hear that, let's not get the cops involved. That's when I want to get the cops involved. There's something going on out there. Use your best judgment, but I always say the best policy is have a police investigation. We talked about Operation Slick Streets. That's just not going to happen unless there's a severe injury involved on that. So you're going to have to do a little bit more. And if you let that get away, insurance companies, I wouldn't say they really take advantage of the situation, but what they do is they can just work around that fact scenario and says, oh, you don't have a collision report, so the liability really wasn't investigated by any immediate police, okay? So they can now rely upon what their own insured has to say. The at-fault driver might say that, yeah, he purposely hit his brake just to make me crash into him. And you've got no independent verification from a police officer who may have had that story repeated to him at the scene or not had that story repeated to him at the scene. People think a lot of the stories afterwards, not immediately right there on the spot. The clever ones can do it on the spot. But the fabrications that get filtered into it is because, why? Because they don't want to be found at fault. They don't want their insurance rate to go up. There's all incentive for them to try to put this on you.
Right. Well, a lot of that's really important stuff, especially when you were talking about the differences between giving the insurance company the okay to go through all of your medical records. I mean, there's still more. We need to talk about a whole lot more. When we come back from the break, I think we need to continue some of this conversation, and we'll be right back after this.
Hey guys, Sarah Benedict here to see if you all know if this statement is true or false. The color of your vehicle affects the price of your insurance. Do you think that's true, or do you think it's false? The answer when we return.
Over 6,337 people are injured in a car crash each day in the United States, and each crash can affect your day-to-day lives from having nothing to drive to severe bodily injury. At Benedict Law Office, we are here to help you through this tragedy and get your life back on track. For over 25 years, Lloyd Benedict has been successfully handling and resolving personal injury cases. If you can't come to the office, we'll meet you, whether it's at your home, office, or by phone. Look us up on our website or call at 918-477-7000. A car crash changes everything instantly. How you get to work, heal from the injuries, to repairing your car. Not to mention how this affects your family members' lives. The Lawyer Lloyd Show is to educate people about what you need to know to best deal with an accident. It's more than just calling the insurance company. It's about understanding the importance of having an attorney to guide you through this crash, but more importantly, knowing that you are not going through this accident alone. Seen every Monday at noon and on Wednesdays 11:30 at night, right here on KWHB TV 47.
Earlier, I asked if you thought the statement of whether the color of your vehicle affects the price of your insurance was true or false. The correct answer is false. It does not affect your insurance. Here, all those years, I thought getting a red car was a bad idea, though I still went ahead and did it in my earlier adult years. Come to find out, that was not the explanation as to why I got those tickets. It was the lead foot that I had inherited from my mother. Thanks, Mom.
All right, it's good to be back here for the Tulsa Law Talk. Now, Lloyd, last time we talked about the do's and don'ts of getting ready for it, or getting ready, like if everybody's gonna, and everyone may have a car accident, but if you were in a car accident, but this is a life-changing experience. Tell us a little bit about how it affects the family, and then how do you get your car back and running and looking as good as it was before you had the accident?
Wow, it's a big question. And you got a lot going on there. I mean, when you're a victim of a collision, you've got your injuries, you've got your car damage, and it's really kind of two different things going on at one time. In reality, we try to take care of the car on behalf of the clients at first, get in there, whether it's going to be a reputable body shop, whether it's going to be a total loss. We take a look at that. The injuries, how it affects everyone. Just like we mentioned in previous episodes, you've got your whole life has changed, and you got people that rely upon you. You may have a grandmother that you have to take back and forth to the doctors, and you may have your kids that go back and forth to soccer games or to school, and then you have transportation issues. That's stressful, and especially if you're injured and you're trying to work with that. So we get involved, we take a look at that, we try to get that stuff diaried, as to what's going on, the disruptions in the daily lifestyle. That stuff hopefully gets its stuff worked out as time goes on. Hopefully life returns back to normal. It doesn't happen in all cases. Some injuries are severe. Some people have permanent injuries. The car, they want to be able to take the car to a good body shop, one that's reputable, one that's going to be able to stand behind the warranties, one that does professional work. I mean, we know some. You can easily Google, you can look at ratings, you can call the Better Business Bureau, but there's ways to be able to find out good, reputable body shops out there. There's nothing worse than having insult on injury when you have a bad body shop in the equation. It just goes on from there.
I had this buddy of mine. He was the epitome of a shade tree mechanic. He was really super nice guy, but greasy hair, and he actually worked on cars underneath a shade tree.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, but you've got a story that you got to share with everyone.
And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about on picking body shops and that sort of thing. And it reminds me of this story that we had a client, and this is down in southern Oklahoma, and they had a horrible time. They came to me, already picked a bad body shop, and they couldn't get their car out of the body shop because there was this disposal fee dispute between the body shop and the insurance company. It was like for $500. And that's just outrageous. I mean, to have the battery dumped somewhere and some parts somewhere, and the guy was charging $500, and the car was fixed, and they wouldn't release it. Meanwhile, with this disputes going on for like 2 weeks, the clients are in the car on their own, incurring a rental car bill reimbursement. So they're into it for like $1,500, $2,000 in damages, on top of just because the body shop is just holding on to their car. So I get involved. People hire me, couldn't get anywhere. I called the body shop, and I can't remember, this is years back, but I swear this guy named Bubba answered the phone, and I said, hey, this is Benedict Law Office. I need to talk to the owner. We've got a problem on Joe Doe's case right here, and try to figure something out. And he said, well, what we have here is a failure to communicate. And I said, no, what we have really is a dispute over an unreasonable disposal fee right here. What can we do to get this resolved so my client can get the car? He goes, if they can come up with the $500 that they owe me on this, then they can come get their car. They know that, and that's what it's going to take to get it car. I said, $500. There's no give or take, no negotiation on that. No, sir, that's what come out of my pocket to pay. I said, you have receipts on that? I got all the paperwork you need, but they want their car, and otherwise I'm going to put a lien on this thing and sell it.
No.
And I go to the insurance company and like, man, and they're like, he's not going to budge. So, I kind of felt sorry because our client's caught in the middle of this thing. I ultimately came up with an idea to go ahead and maybe get diminished value, which is when your car's been damaged and repaired. It's lost value, so that's a separate damage we argue on our clients. I thought, okay, well, we can get that money for you. You've had substantial damage. We'll use that money to pay this guy off because it's truly not worth filing a lawsuit over $500. It's going to take forever. So we got it done, finally got the car out, client was happy, and from that point on, when I have control, I can tell my client, make sure you pick a good body shop. Don't get steered with the insurance company's body shops either. Make sure you pick one of your own on that. And, insurance companies will say, hey, why don't you use Joe and Doe over there, body shop? Don't want to do that because they work for the insurance company, not for you.
So did Bubba work for the insurance company?
No, he was his own character. He's his own. He don't work for anybody but Bubba.
Well, I'm glad, that you cleared that up. Just in case, though, if a Bubba answers a phone at any of the car places in all of Oklahoma, maybe don't be too concerned just yet, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some good, reputable body shops out there that may do things a lot differently, but that particular one there, you might want to learn all the fees ahead of time before you get involved in a repair job.
Well, thanks for sharing that story with us, Lloyd. And as we've talked about before, Lloyd is going to be with us throughout the show. He's going to come in and give us these tidbits and tips on how to take care of yourself when you're involved in an accident or any type of situation that you may need an attorney to help walk you through the steps of what might be going on in your life and when those times come up. So thank you so much again, Lloyd, for stopping here in Tulsa Law Talk. And as always, we enjoyed having everybody listening in, and we'll definitely catch Lloyd again soon with Tulsa Law Talk.
Thank you much.
My heart's don't mean anything.